Hello, everyone. I'm Marina Orms, the founder of Astrology Heals at astrologyheals.com, and we're talking about women badasses. And today I have a special guest, Aryana Rollins, who is a Gemini sun badass. And thanks for being here, Aryana.
This is fun, Marina. I really enjoy learning from you and working with you. And so, yeah, happy to be here.
Awesome. Yay. And so Aryana, I've known her for several years, and for 14 years, Aryana has taught thousands of people how to get where they want by working directly with their higher self and their unconscious mind. Aryana's special skill is guiding you to get stuck and get unstuck and be unstoppable, move boldly into the future you want to create, get where you want. Getting what you want becomes natural and easy, feeling free of self-doubt and excited about your future. And her website is www.succeed.highertrueself.com. And then should I spell out the rest of this?
Yeah, sorry, okay. It's rather long.
Succeed.highertrueself.com/manifesting guide sample download, and manifesting guide sample download all has dashes between it. So we'll put this URL in the comments too, so you can click on the link. So awesome. Thanks for being here, Aryana. And so first, tell me what it is like. What makes you a badass?
Well, I seem to have a radar for things of great value almost before the mainstream does, like people and books and programs. And like I was learning about essential oils to help my son with balancing his immune system and respiratory issues way back in 2001, before essential oils were really mainstream. And now you can find them in Marshall's, you know, the local discount store. And so I was teaching people classes on how to use them, like to get well-being, and it was all brand new to people. So I seemed to be in the kind of the forefront of the wave of new movements. And the other one was weird term, cybernetic transposition. And it basically means is that we gain mastery over our body and our unconscious mind, so our higher self is guiding us. And that was way back in 2002. So these things are now becoming more mainstream, like training your brain, and you can make changes. Things aren't permanent if you've had a difficult life experience. So I seem to have that kind of, I don't know if it's the quick mind, but I can recognize things and I trust it. I know, and I stick on it. I hold on to it. This is good. This is real.
Nice. So yeah, so as a Gemini, and one of the things that you mentioned in your main sentence about what you do is that you work with the unconscious mind. And so just for our listeners, Gemini has to do with the mind and mental processes and communication and how we generate ideas and solve problems. And so Aryana, as a Gemini, has this special skill that helps her connect with the mind and the mind's processes, and like she's saying, to see ideas before they hit the mainstream and to see the truth and the reality in them. And I love that. That's awesome.
So, and it also helped me recognize you, Marina, because there are many astrologers out there. And some have not integrated it into their body, and I can feel it. They're not really living it. So when we met, I remember in person for the first time, I could feel this peace that was emanating from you, and this resonance that you have embodied what you're teaching, which that makes a powerful teacher, because people can just be working with you and almost absorb the knowledge. Like Edgar Cayce, supposedly, when he wanted to learn a new subject, he'd put a book under his pillow and he'd sleep on it. So I'm finding humans can evolve more quickly, learn about themselves, if they're working with integrated teachers.
That's really cool. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, that's so interesting. And Gemini as an air sign, you know, we think of it as being mental, but it is very much connected to the body. And of course, we're these balanced whole beings that need to have that integration.
Mhm.
Yeah, super cool. So, yeah, so as a Gemini sun, have you been aware of that as you've gone through your processes, aware of the Gemini side of your personality?
Well, in the beginning, you know how they'll have, you know, little horoscopes in the paper and stuff. And there seemed to, Gemini sun seem to get a bad rap. You know, they're fickle and, oh, you don't ever want to date a Gemini sun because they may just drop you. And I've noticed for myself, when I grab onto a subject, I go deep. So I think there's a lot of misunderstanding around astrology, and that you help people see the higher side, because if we're thinking that's all we are, and that's not all I am. Like, I have a very powerful, what is it, Aquarius rising sign, which brings in, it's also the mind and the unconscious. So we're all kind of a package, right?
Yeah.
And the gifts that can unfold.
Totally. Yeah. And there's so much more to our charts, of course, than just the sun sign. So
Mm-hmm.
mentioning you have an Aquarius rising, and we all have all these planets in our chart. So there's a lot more to it. And sometimes people don't necessarily relate directly to their sun sign. That could be different factors that are present in their chart that can affect that. But it's also true that as a sun sign, whatever sign each of us is, that we have that sort of basic personality or way of being in the world available to us. And so that what you're describing is how we can step into that in its highest form and not just see it as, like you said, something that has a bad rap. I think all signs have a version of bad rap. Yeah. Yeah, awesome. So I love this because what you're saying is that you have the ability to really engage your mind, and that curiosity, that eagerness to learn, that wants to engage with ideas, learn new things, even working with the unconscious and ideas around that.
Yeah, like a lifelong student. That's what it feels like to be a Gemini sun. And also there's a youthfulness about their physique, I noticed, and that's on the good side, you know?
Yeah. So how do you embrace or embody that youthfulness?
Every week I try to do something new and different. So since I moved to Austin just a few years ago, the whole city's new. And so I'll look in the meetup and like, okay, what's there? One week I'll do, circling, which is a form of intimacy connection. And another week I'll go to an astrology meeting. Another week I might do yoga or hiking, and it keeps things fresh. I don't stick with all those groups unless it feels resonant, but some of them I've continued. And it's trying new things, even if it means driving across town to try a new coffee shop, to be very in the present moment. Maybe that's how I've used the Gemini curiosity to not get bored and stuck and in a routine and life's boring.
Totally. Yeah. And that's a beautiful aspect of the badassness of Gemini, is that it's this capacity to try things and to notice and to get curious and, hey, what's that about? I want to try that. And yeah, not to ever be bored, because there's always something out there to try or learn about. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So is there anything you can think of that you've particularly had to overcome about being a Gemini, and being on that path to being a badass?
I don't know if it specifically had to do with the Gemini sun, but I seem to be very open and empathic. And that's been really hard, because I would literally be talking with someone and I would pick up their moods and states and I would speak it out. There's the Gemini sun, just bluntly. And they weren't even conscious of it, for example. So I had people get really upset because I would be speaking out their truth before they even knew it. So now I've got this, I hear it and I check inside now with my higher self. Is it appropriate for my highest and best good to say this? Took some training, Aryana. I really did, because I could see, I don't know if someone would say that psychic or intuitive, I don't know, but I could see and register things, and I had to put almost like a pause on my mouth, and then also trusting myself, because it didn't mean that that wasn't real. It just may mean that they can't see it yet, and they're not ready to get unstuck from it. So I've really had to trust myself. I went for a while there, I just kind of shut myself down, my senses. I said, I don't want to see, I don't want to sense. And that's far worse place to be, because then you're blindly going to circumstances where there could be some negative, hurtful people. So I've learned to trust my senses, but just put that pause.
Really powerful. And this is kind of subtle what you're getting at, but so there's a part of you that's sensitive and has more of maybe a psychic quality or sensitive to energy. And of course, there's more to your chart than just Gemini. So there's probably some water in there. And just for those of you watching, you know, there's always more to it than just the sun sign. But I want to bring out the Gemini part, because what you've had to learn is maybe a part of you that is automatically you know, has that tendency to say what you think, which is very naturally Gemini. And, you know, how could that possibly be offensive, or how could, and so having to recognize what's appropriate and what's not. I love that process that you described of learning how to check with yourself, put the physical pause on it so that you could feel into it, see if this is something that should be said in this moment. Yeah, and I think too that as women, you know, we have to, or we do learn to kind of stop ourselves, or, you know, not want to feel like we're too inappropriate. This actually came up in my interview with Scorpio, Magali, recently, where, you know, she had to kind of learn also to where to stop herself or not be too blunt. And so it's interesting just to look at, you know, how we as women, you know, where do we stop ourselves, and is that in alignment with our truth? And yeah, love it. Awesome. Well, is there anything you have to suggest to other Gemini women who are learning how to step into their badass selves?
Don't take people's experience of you seriously. And that if people, it's not always people are clear mirrors. So if they are mirroring you, always check, is that helpful? Is that truthful? And don't trust other people's perceptions of you. And most importantly, trust that inner guide, your higher self, before you make decisions, or yeah, especially relationships or your work. Just trust yourself. If I could put 100 exclamation points behind that, it would be that, because the quickness and the ability to follow so many different paths and make connections, because we can make connections quickly. We've got the warmth of the sun, you know, that Gemini, and, you know, but all those connections may not be right for us. So really practice discernment. So trust yourself, practice discernment, and don't take everybody's perceptions of you as truth.
That's so cool. I'm wondering, if we don't have much time, but is it possible to give us maybe one little practical exercise of how you would do that? How would you check with yourself about whether something is true, that somebody else might be able to use as well?
Well, one thing to do is to get out of that person's energy field. So if you're in a conversation, you excuse yourself, I'm just going to go to the loo or the bathroom, get a glass of water, close your eyes, take a couple breaths, and exhale out all the feelings and thoughts of what you were just having. See a root grounding you down to the earth. Focus on your heart, which is where a lot of our truth lies. This is really a powerful energy. And ask, hold on, let me frame the question just a minute. You know what's really important? It's not truth as in truth, but does this person have an undisclosed agenda? That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
Does this person have an undisclosed agenda? Because if they do, then everything's got to be reviewed, because a lot of people are not either connected to what they really want, or they're intentionally guiding us down the primrose path, which may not be primroses, you know? So it's, does this person have an undisclosed agenda? And you'll feel like a peace, like a peacefulness in your body, like a calm, if it's a yes, or you'll feel nothing.
If it's a yes.
Yeah. If it's a yes, you'll feel calm.
Okay.
It's like you've resonated with the truth that your body or your heart was trying to communicate to you. But if you don't feel that calmness, then it might be a no.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
But it just gives you a clue that a lot of people are not speaking really what they want, or, you know?
It's a really good point. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, trained to not ask for our needs and claim what we want. And that's where we can really, it can be crazy making, because a part of us will register that there's this communication going on underneath, and we're like trying to hear that, we're listening to their words, and then we just lose our center.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Yeah, beautifully put. So yeah, so tuning into your body, and I think that we learn over time what feels like a yes and what feels like a no for us. So practicing that will always help you be able to do it more quickly.
Yeah, and then you can check it out, find out, say, were you thinking about this, or is this, and you can actually do this, and that gives you feedback loop in the real world, and it's like, oh yeah, I did sense that.
Love it. Love it. That's beautiful. Thank you. Well, so we're just about out of time here. Is there anything else you want to add, or do you feel?
Just, I think it's so important for people to understand the basics of their astrological makeup, because it influences us at a very deep level. So the more that you understand and embrace, the less controlled you are by fate.
So true.
So, following Marina's book about how it's very simple, easy reading, focus on the upside of those different parts in your chart and really align with that, and understand, just follow what she's doing, Marina's doing, and then you'll learn. Over time, you're like, wow, I understand now what a rising sign is. Oh, I identify more with that. Self-knowledge is powerful.
So true. Yes, I absolutely agree. Obviously, I follow astrology and use it. I think it's such a powerful tool to help us understand ourselves and how we're made up and how we can step into those highest versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. This has just been delightful, Aryana.
Oh, it's been fun. I always learn a little bit from talking with you. So thank you for doing what you're doing and making an impact on people in a way that is a subtle, easy bridge to understanding yourself, and not, I have to know all these aspects. You break it down to make it simple for people, usable, practical.
Beautiful. Thank you.
All right.
Well, thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you next time.